The day the ships appeared in the sky started like any other. People went to work, children went to school, and life moved at its normal pace. Then the news broke. Massive vessels hovered over major cities worldwide. They were smooth and silver, shaped like elongated eggs with strange patterns glowing across their surfaces. The world held its breath, waiting. Frank Miller had been an ambassador for 25 years. He had negotiated peace treaties, trade agreements, and cultural exchanges. But nothing in his career had prepared him for this moment. Standing on the roof of the United Nations building, he watched as a smaller craft detached from the mothership above New York and descended toward them. "Are we ready for this?" asked his assistant, Donna Reed. Frank straightened his tie. "We have to be." The craft landed with barely a sound. A door slid open, revealing tall, thin creatures with skin that shimmered like oil on water. They had 4 eyes, 2 large ones where human eyes would be, and 2 smaller ones above them. Their limbs were long and jointed in unusual places. The first one stepped forward. "We are the Thems," it said in perfect English, its voice like water flowing over stones. "We come in peace." Later, in the Grand Hall of the UN, representatives from all nations gathered to hear the Thems speak. The leader, who called itself Elder Spoke, addressed the assembly. "Our civilization has traveled the stars for many thousands of years. We seek only peaceful exchange and mutual growth. We have much to offer: medical advances, clean energy, faster travel between stars. We ask only for the chance to learn from you in return." Some people were afraid, others were excited. Most were simply curious. Within weeks, cultural exchange programs began. Then compounds appeared in major cities. Scientists from both species started working together. In a small town in Ohio, 12-year-old Lily Carter sat at her kitchen table, filling out an application. Her parents watched with mixed feelings. "Are you sure about this, honey?" asked her father, John Carter. He taught physics at the local high school and had always encouraged Lily's interest in science. Lily nodded eagerly. Her blonde hair bounced with the movement. "Dad, this is the biggest scientific opportunity ever. They're only taking 50 kids worldwide for the Student Ambassador program." Her mother, Alice, placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "We're proud of you. We just worry." "Mom, the Thems have been here for 3 months. Nothing bad has happened?" "They've already shared medicine that's helping people with cancer." John and Alice exchanged looks. Their daughter had always been special. At 12, she was already taking advanced placement science classes. Her science fair project on experimental propulsion systems had won national recognition. If anyone deserved this opportunity, it was Lily. When the acceptance letter came 2 weeks later, Lily screamed with joy. She ran around the house, waving the tablet with the official notification. "I got in! I got in!" The program would last 6 months. Lily and the other student ambassadors would live at the Them compound outside Washington, D.C., studying their science and culture while teaching the aliens about human life. The day of departure came quickly. At the special terminal built for them shuttles, families gathered to say goodbye to their children. Security was tight but unobtrusive. Them representatives moved among the humans, answering questions and offering reassurances. One of them approached the Carter family. "You must be Lily," it said. "I am Educator Pulse. I will be your primary guide during your stay with us." Lily stared up at the tall alien, her eyes wide with wonder rather than fear. "It's nice to meet you. I have so many questions already." And, "We look forward to answering them," Educator Pulse replied. Its 4 eyes blinking in sequence. John stepped forward, extending his hand out of habit before remembering the Thems did not shake hands. He awkwardly lowered it. "Please take good care of our daughter." "She will be treated as one of our own," Educator Pulse assured him. Something about the way it said this made Alice shiver slightly. The departure time approached. Final hugs were exchanged. Tears were shed. Promises to call often were made. The students, 50 bright young minds from around the world, lined up to board the shuttle. Lily turned back one last time to wave at her parents. Her smile was radiant, her eyes filled with excitement for the adventure ahead. John and Alice waved back, forcing smiles onto their worried faces. "She'd be fine," John said, as much to himself as to his wife. "Of course she will," Alice agreed. The shuttle door closed, sealing Lily and the other children inside. It rose smoothly into the air and accelerated toward the them compound. John and Alice watched until it was just a dot in the distance. In the weeks that followed, Lily called home regularly. Her face on the video screen was animated as she described everything she was learning. The thems had technology beyond human imagination. They could manipulate gravity, create materials atom by atom, and their medical knowledge was centuries ahead of Earth's. "They're teaching us about their star drives," she told her parents one evening. "Dad, you wouldn't believe how they've solved the problems with faster-than-light travel." John leaned toward the screen. "That's supposed to be impossible, not for them. And get this, they say I have a natural aptitude for understanding their mathematics." Elder Spoke itself came to observe our class yesterday. Alice noticed something. "Lily, you look tired. Are they working you too hard?" Lily shook her head. "We have lots of free time. I just stay up reading sometimes. Them library is amazing." As the weeks turned into months, subtle changes appeared in Lily. She seemed thinner, despite assurances that the food was good. Dark circles formed under her eyes. Sometimes she would pause mid-sentence, as if struggling to remember what she wanted to say. "Are you sure you're okay?" Alice asked during one call. "I'm fine, Mom, just busy. We're starting a new project tomorrow. Very exciting." "What kind of project?" Lily's eyes darted to something off-screen. "Just more science stuff." "Oh, Educator Pulse is calling us for evening meal. I have to go." The call ended before John and Alice could say a proper goodbye. "Something's not right," Alice said. John nodded slowly. 3 more weeks, and she be home. We can ask more questions then." 2 days later, they received another call from Lily. Her face looked strained. "Mom, Dad, I need to tell you something." The screen went blank. When they tried to call back, a them representative answered. "We apologize for the technical difficulties. Lily is being taken to our medical facility. She appears to have contracted an illness. Nothing serious, but we are placing her in quarantine as a precaution." "We want to see her," John demanded. "That is not possible during quarantine." "We will update you on her condition daily." The screen went dark again. John immediately called the Human Liaison Office for the exchange program. The representative there, Peter Rodriguez, promised to look into the situation. "Try not to worry," he told them. The thems have excellent medical facilities. But as days passed with only brief, vague updates and no direct contact with Lily, the Carters' worry turned to fear, and fear to desperate determination. What they didn't know was that Lily Carter was about to become the catalyst for humanity's greatest war, and the name that would drive an entire species to ruthless revenge. Dr. Susan Walsh stared at her computer screen and frowned. The data made no sense. As the lead xenobiologist at the International Space Agency, she had been studying them biology for 6 months now. The aliens had provided samples of their tissue, blood, and genetic material as part of the scientific exchange. At first, everything seemed straightforward. The thems were carbon-based life forms, not so different from humans in basic chemistry. But these new readings showed something troubling. "Olivia, come look at this," she called to her research assistant. Olivia Green looked over her shoulder at the screen. "Is that adaptation rate correct?" Susan nodded. "The them cells are changing, adapting to Earth's atmosphere and conditions, much faster than they claimed was possible. According to their own reports, they need special environmental controls in their compounds because our air is toxic to them over long exposure. But these samples show they're developing resistance at an exponential rate. What does that mean?" Olivia asked. Susan sat back in her chair. "It means they lied to us." Across town, Captain Eric Barnes of Military Intelligence was looking at a different set of troubling data. Reports of missing persons near them compounds had increased by 30% in the last month. Most were homeless people or individuals without close family people who might not be immediately missed. But the pattern was clear to someone who knew what to look for. He picked up his secure phone and called a number. Olivia, it's Eric. We need to talk, not on the phone, the usual place, 1 hour. Later, in a small coffee shop known for its noisy espresso machines that made electronic eavesdropping difficult, Eric met with Olivia Green. Few knew that the scientist moonlighted as a cybersecurity expert from military intelligence. They're taking people, Eric said quietly. I'm sure of it now, Olivia stirred her coffee. Dr. Walsh found something too. The thems are adapting to our environment much faster than they admitted. They may not need those special compounds they insisted on building, which means they wanted those secure, private spaces for other reasons. She pulled out her tablet and showed him some files. I hacked into their power grid usage data. They're using massive amounts of energy, especially at night. Way more than their stated population and activities would require. Eric's face darkened. We need more information. But going through official channels isn't an option. Ambassador Miller and the diplomatic corps are completely taken in by the thems. I can get into their systems, Olivia said. But I'll need help and time. While Eric and Olivia planned their investigation, John and Alice Carter were growing increasingly desperate. It had been 10 days since they had spoken directly to Lily. Each day, a them representative called with vague updates about her recovery, but refused to let them speak with her or visit. John paced their living room. This is wrong. Parents have rights. Even if she's in quarantine, they should let us see her through a window or something. Alice, who had barely slept in days, looked up from her tablet. I've been researching. 3 other families from the exchange program have reported similar situations. Their children got sick, and they haven't had direct contact since. We need to go there, John said firmly. To the compound, demand to see her in person. The next morning, they drove to the them compound outside Washington, D.C. The facility was surrounded by a high wall with only one entrance, a gate guarded by both them security and human government agents. When they approached, a human guard stepped forward. Can I help you? We're John and Alice Carter. Our daughter Lily is inside, supposedly in your medical facility. We want to see her. The guard looked uncomfortable. I'll need to call this in. After several minutes and multiple calls, a human woman in a business suit approached. Mr. and Mrs. Carter? I'm Sandra Willis, human liaison for the student program. I understand your concerns, but I assure you Lily is receiving excellent care. We want to see her, John repeated firmly. I'm afraid that's not possible right now. The quarantine protocols. Are you in there with the children? Alice interrupted. Do you see them daily? Sandra hesitated. Well, no. The medical wing is restricted to the medical staff. So you don't actually know how our daughter is doing, John said. You're just repeating what they tell you. Sandra's professional smile faltered. I understand how this looks, but the thems have been nothing but helpful since they arrived. They've shared medical technology that's already saving lives. Just not our daughter's life, apparently. Alice said bitterly. As they argued, a small group of protesters had gathered near the gate. They held signs questioning the them's intentions and demanding more transparency. One of them, a thin man, with nervous eyes, watched the Carters intently. Later that evening, as John and Alice sat in their hotel room trying to decide what to do next, there was a knock at the door. John opened it cautiously to find the thin man from the protest. Mr. Carter, my name is Kyle Jordan. I was a researcher at the Baltimore Them compound until 2 weeks ago. I need to talk to you about your daughter. They let him in, and Kyle told them a story that chilled their blood. He had been part of a joint research team, but had accidentally accessed restricted areas of the them database. What he found suggested the aliens were conducting biological experiments on humans. I don't have proof, he admitted. They caught me before I could download the files. I barely escaped. But you need to know the quarantine story is a lie. If they've taken your daughter into their medical facility, she's in real danger. John and Alice looked at each other, terror and determination in their eyes. Meanwhile, Dr. Walsh's lab had been broken into. Equipment was smashed, samples destroyed, and her computer stolen. When she arrived the next morning and saw the destruction, she knew immediately what it meant. "They know we're on to them," she told Olivia over a secure line. "We need to move faster." Olivia had made progress. Using advanced hacking techniques, she had penetrated the outer layers of the them security system. "I found something," she told Eric during their next meeting. Energy signatures that match human neural activity coming from deep within the compounds. Hundreds of them. Eric's face paled. "They're not just taking a few people, they're harvesting them." "I need more time to get past their final firewalls," Olivia said. "But their security is like nothing I've ever seen." As these separate investigations progressed, the Carters received a call from the them compound. The alien on the screen had the formal markings of a medical official. "Mr. and Mrs. Carter, I regret to inform you that despite our best efforts, your daughter Lily has succumbed to her illness. We extend our deepest condolences." Alice collapsed into John's arms, a wail of grief escaping her lips. "We want to see her," John demanded, his voice breaking. "We want to bring our daughter home." "I understand," the them official said. "However, the pathogen required immediate cremation for safety reasons. We will return her ashes to you tomorrow." When the call ended, John held his sobbing wife close. But through his own tears, his mind was working. Something about this didn't add up. And he would find out what, no matter the cost. What the grieving parents didn't know was that they now had allies working in the shadows, and that very soon, the truth about what happened to Lily Carter would shake humanity to its core. The small box of ashes felt too light in John Carter's hands. He and Alice stood in their kitchen, staring at the sleek metal container the thems had given them. It was supposed to contain all that remained of their bright, beautiful daughter. "This is wrong," John whispered. "All of it is wrong." Alice wiped tears from her eyes. "What do we do now?" The doorbell rang. When John opened the door, he found Peter Rodriguez, the government liaison who had promised to help them. His face was grim. "May I come in?" he asked quietly, glancing over his shoulder as if worried about being followed. Once inside, Rodriguez spoke in hushed tones. "I've been looking into Lily's case. Things aren't adding up. 3 other children from the exchange program have supposedly died from the same mysterious illness. All cremated immediately. We don't even know if these are really her ashes," Alice said, pointing at the box. Rodriguez nodded slowly. "I might know someone who can help, someone who can test them." Later that night, they met Dr. Susan Walsh in her backup lab. After the break-in at her main facility, she had set up this secret location in the basement of a friend's veterinary clinic. "I can't promise anything," she told the grieving parents as she carefully opened the container. "But I can run a DNA test to confirm if these are human remains." While the test ran, Susan explained her own suspicions about the thems. "Their biology is adapting to Earth much faster than they claimed was possible. They've been lying about their physical limitations from the start." The test results appeared on her tablet. Susan stared at the screen, her face paling. "These aren't human remains," she said finally. "There's no human DNA present at all. This is just common ash, probably from burned wood." Alice covered her mouth with her hand. John slammed his fist on the table. "What does this mean?" he demanded. "Where is our daughter's body?" Susan looked at them with compassion and horror. "It means the thems never intended to return your daughter to you. And it suggests something much worse might have happened to her." Across town, Olivia Green had finally broken through the last firewall in the them security system. Working from a hidden location, using equipment provided by Captain Barnes, she gained access to the most restricted files. What she found made her physically ill. "Eric, you need to see this," she said over their secure line. "I've found video files. Medical procedures. They're experimenting on humans, on the missing people, and the children from the exchange program." When Barnes arrived at her location, they watched the footage together in horrified silence. The videos showed them scientists performing dissections, unconscious human subjects, studying their reactions to various stimuli, harvesting organs and tissue samples. "We need to take this to someone with authority," Barnes said. Someone who can't be ignored. Who? Olivia asked. The thems have allies throughout the government. Ambassador Miller has been their biggest supporter. We don't know who we can trust. I know someone, Barnes said. But first, we need more concrete proof. Something that directly links them to specific victims. Can you find anything on the exchange program, students? Olivia turned back to her. Screens, fingers flying over the keyboard. After several tense minutes, she gasped. I found a file labeled with Lily Carter's name. The file contained detailed notes on Lily's intelligence, her quick grasp of the science, and her physical attributes. It also contained video of her final hours. Neither Barnes nor Olivia could watch it fully. The brutality was too much. But it was irrefutable evidence of what the thems had done. Meanwhile, Kyle Jordan, the escaped researcher, had made contact with other scientists who shared his suspicions. Together, they had been gathering evidence of them activities worldwide. Reports of missing persons near every them compound. Strange energy signatures. Unexplained shipments of biological material to the mothership still orbiting Earth. Kyle arranged to meet with John and Alice Carter, bringing Dr. Walsh, Captain Barnes, and Olivia with him. In the basement of an old church, away from potential surveillance, they shared what they had discovered. The exchange program was never about cultural sharing, Kyle explained. It was about studying the brightest young humans, learning how our minds work. The thems are preparing for something big. They killed our daughter, John said, his voice hollow. They killed her and lied about it. Not just killed, Barnes said quietly. Based on what we found, they've been conducting extensive experiments on humans, learning our weaknesses, our biological vulnerabilities. He hesitated before continuing. We have reason to believe they're preparing for a large-scale action against humanity, possibly an invasion. Alice, who had been silent for much of the meeting, suddenly stood up. You have proof? Actual evidence of what they did to Lily? Olivia nodded reluctantly. We have video files. They're extremely difficult to watch. I need to see them, Alice insisted. I need to know what happened to my daughter. The others exchanged uncomfortable glances. Finally, Barnes nodded. You deserve to know the truth. The video was worse than anything they could have imagined. It showed Lily, strapped to a table, fully conscious as them scientists methodically took her apart, studying her reactions, taking notes on human pain responses and organ functions. Her final moments were filled with agony and terror. When it ended, the room was silent except for Alice's quiet sobbing. John held her, his own face wet with tears, his body shaking with grief and rage. We need to show this to the world, he said finally. Everyone needs to know what these monsters are doing. The government might try to suppress it, Barnes warned. They've invested too much in the relationship with the thems. They'll claim the videos are fake. Then we bypass the government, Kyle suggested. Release it directly to the public. Once it's out there, they can't stop it from spreading. Dr. Walsh nodded in agreement. People deserve to know the truth, but we need to be careful. The thems will retaliate when their true nature is exposed. They developed a plan. Using Olivia's technical skills, they would simultaneously broadcast the evidence to every connected device worldwide. News stations, personal phones, public screens all would show the truth about the thems and what happened to Lily Carter. 3 days later, at exactly noon Eastern Time, screens around the world changed. People stopped in the streets, in their offices, in their homes as the evidence appeared before them, the them experiments, the harvesting of humans. And most devastating of all, carefully edited portions of Lily's final moments, enough to show the truth without exploiting her suffering. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Riots broke out near them compounds. Governments issued statements of shock and dismay. People who had welcomed the aliens now turned against them in horror and rage. In the White House, President Laura Dawson watched the footage with her security council. Her face, normally composed and diplomatic, hardened into something new. Get me verified confirmation of this footage, she ordered. and then get me a direct line to the UN Security Council. If this is real, we are no longer in a first contact situation. We are at war. Across the world, humanity united in a way it never had before. The murder of Lily Carter became a rallying cry, a symbol of innocence betrayed. And in the hearts of every human, a cold, hard resolve formed. The thems would pay for what they had done. President Laura Dawson stood before the United Nations General Assembly. Her normally warm eyes were cold and focused. Every nation on Earth had a representative present. This was perhaps the most important speech in human history. 3 days ago, we all witnessed the truth, she began, her voice steady and strong. We saw the betrayal of our trust by the beings who call themselves the thems. We saw the cruel experiments performed on innocent humans. We saw the murder of Lily Carter, a 12-year-old girl whose only crime was her bright mind and trusting heart. The hall was completely silent. On screens around the world, billions watched and listened. I have personally reviewed all evidence and can confirm its authenticity. The thems came to us with promises of friendship and advancement. Instead, they have been studying us as one might study lab rats, learning our weaknesses, preparing for something larger and more terrible. She paused, looking directly into the cameras. As of this moment, Earth is at war with the thems. This is not a war of choice, but of necessity. This is not a war of conquest, but of survival. This is not a war of hatred, but of justice. For Lily Carter, for all those who have been taken, for humanity itself. The response in the hall and around the world was immediate. Countries that had been enemies for generations now stood together. Old conflicts were set aside in the face of this new, greater threat. Within hours of the speech, military forces worldwide surrounded them compounds. The alien representatives inside refused all communication. Some compounds activated previously. Hidden defense systems, killing soldiers who approached too closely. In orbit, the large them motherships began to move. Military satellites detected energy buildups consistent with weapon systems. The first shots of the war came from above, as them ships fired on Earth's fledgling orbital defense platforms. In the Pentagon, General Samantha Reeves took command of the newly formed Earth Defense Forces. A veteran of multiple conflicts, she now faced the greatest challenge of her career. They have technological superiority, she told her international team of officers. But we have numbers, determination, and home field advantage. More importantly, we have this. She held up a small device. Thanks to Dr. Alan Cooper and his team, we now have functioning shields based on reversed engineered them technology. Not perfect, but good enough to give our forces a fighting chance. Dr. Cooper had been working non-stop since the revelation of the them's true nature. As head of the Advanced Weapons Division, he had assembled scientists from around the world to study and adapt alien technology. The thems made a critical mistake, he explained to military leaders. They shared just enough of their science to give us a foundation. They never expected us to advance so quickly, or to unite so completely. Among those scientists was John Carter. After losing Lily, he had channeled his grief and rage into work. His background in physics made him valuable to Cooper's team. More importantly, his personal connection to the cause gave him a drive that inspired others. The thems believe they're superior, John told his colleagues as they worked to modify captured alien weapons. They see us as primitive, as subjects for study. They never considered we might be a genuine threat. Alice Carter had found her own way to fight. As the mother of the girl whose death had unified humanity, she became a powerful voice. Her speeches rallied civilians to support the war effort. Her quiet strength in the face of unimaginable loss gave people hope. My daughter loves science, she told a crowd of volunteers. She believed knowledge should help people, not harm them. The thems twisted that belief. They used our trust against us, but they underestimated what humans will do when pushed too far. The first major ground battle took place at the largest them compound in the Mojave Desert. Earth forces used the modified shields to approach despite heavy fire from alien defenses. Inside, they discovered more horrors humans kept in stasis. Fields, partially dissected but still alive. Some had been there for months. The soldiers also found something valuable, a complete database of them biology and technology. Information that would prove crucial in the battles to come. In orbit, the situation was dire. Earth's limited space defenses were outmatched by them ships. Then long-range sensors detected more vessels approaching them, reinforcements coming. To join the fight, President Dawson called an emergency meeting of her War Council. "We need to buy time," General Reeves advised. "Our ground forces are making progress, but we can't defeat their orbital capabilities yet. If those reinforcements arrive, we'll be overwhelmed." "What about Operation Carter's Light?" asked the Secretary of Defense. Reeves nodded grimly. "It's ready, but risky. We'll lose good people." Operation Carter's Light was a desperate plan. Small teams would use captured them shuttles to infiltrate the motherships. Their mission sabotaged the vessels from within. Using knowledge gained from studying alien technology, Captain Eric Barnes volunteered to lead the main strike team. His experience with them security systems made him the logical choice. Olivia Green would accompany him, guiding the team through the alien computer networks. "We may not come back from this," he told his volunteers. "But if we succeed, we give Earth a fighting chance." The launch was timed to coincide with a major ground assault on all them compounds worldwide. The hope was that the aliens would be distracted enough to miss the small shuttles approaching their ships. As Barnes' team prepared to board their captured shuttle, John Carter appeared. In his hands was a device the scientists had been developing. "This is a prototype," he explained. "Based on their own neural technology, it should disrupt their communication network, cut off their ability to coordinate." Barnes took the device carefully. "How well has it been tested?" John's eyes were hard. "Not enough, but we're out of time." The shuttle launch went as planned. Using the stolen them access codes Olivia had discovered, they approached the largest mothership undetected. Docking at a maintenance port, the team entered the alien vessel. The inside of the ship was strange and unsettling. Curved corridors that seemed to shift slightly as one walked. Surfaces that glowed with internal light. And everywhere, evidence of them's true purpose on Earth storage units filled with human biological samples. Research stations analyzing human weaknesses. "They've been planning this for years," Olivia whispered as she accessed a terminal. "This isn't just research, it's preparation for full invasion and colonization." The team split up to place explosive charges at critical points throughout the ship. Barnes and Olivia headed for the central computer core, where they would deploy John's device. They were nearly there when alarms began to sound. Them security forces converged on their position. In the firefight that followed, half the team was killed, but Barnes and Olivia reached the core. "How much time do you need?" Barnes asked, firing at approaching aliens. 2 minutes to bypass security," Olivia replied, her fingers flying over the alien interface. "Another minute to upload the virus and activate the device." Barnes nodded. "You'll have it." As Olivia worked, the neural disruptor began to power up. On screens around them, they could see other them ships in the fleet. Soon, if the device worked, all would be crippled by the attack. 30 seconds, Olivia called. Barnes was down to his last weapon charge. The thems were closing in. Then the device activated. A wave of energy pulsed outward from the mothership. The approaching them reinforcements suddenly slowed, their systems disrupted by the attack. On the ground, aliens stumbled and fell as their neural networks failed. Operation Carter's Light had succeeded. The first real victory for humanity had begun. 6 months passed since Operation Carter's Light changed the course of the war. Humanity had transformed in ways no one could have imagined before the conflict began. The neural disruptor created by John Carter had given Earth forces a crucial advantage. With them ships temporarily disabled and their neural networks disrupted, humans had captured key alien technology and data. Dr. Alan Cooper stood in his laboratory surrounded by the world's brightest scientific minds. On tables around the room lay disassembled them weapons, communication devices, and biological samples. The walls were covered with diagrams and equations. "We've done it," he announced to the gathered team. "The bioweapon is ready for deployment." John Carter looked up from his workstation. The past months had aged him visibly. Gray streaked his once dark hair, and deep lines marked his face, yet there was a fierce energy in his eyes. "You're certain it will only affect them biology?" he asked. "No risk to humans or Earth ecosystems?" Cooper nodded. "Absolutely certain. We've tested it extensively using the them biological samples. It targets specific genetic markers unique to their species. To us, it's completely harmless. To them, it's fatal within minutes of exposure." The development of this weapon had been controversial even in wartime. Some argued that using biological warfare made humans no better than the thems. Others insisted that survival required every available tool. In the end, the images of Lily Carter and the other victims had silenced most objections. President Dawson had approved the project with one condition. "We give them one chance to leave," she had said. "One opportunity to retreat and never return to our solar system." That chance came the following day. Using captured them communication technology, Earth sent a message to Elder Spoke, now identified as the overall commander of the invasion force. "Your position is untenable," President Dawson stated clearly. "Your neural networks remain compromised. Your reinforcement fleet is disabled. We now possess weapons capable of destroying your entire species. Leave our solar system immediately and permanently, or face extinction." The response came within hours. Elder Spoke itself appeared on screens worldwide. "Humans have proven more resourceful than anticipated," it said, its multiple eyes blinking in that strange sequential pattern. "However, you overestimate your position. Our adaptation continues, our biological superiority remains. We offer you terms instead. Surrender designated territories for our exclusive use, and the remainder of your population will be permitted to exist." In the White House Situation Room, military and civilian leaders watched the message. General Reeves shook her head in disbelief. "Even now, they think we'll submit," she said. President Dawson's face was stone. "They had their chance for peace when they first arrived. They chose deception and cruelty instead." She turned to her communications officer. "Send the response we prepared." The message was brief. "Your terms are rejected. Our terms stand. You have 24 hours to begin evacuation." The thems did not evacuate. Instead, they launched a coordinated attack from their remaining functional ships and compounds. It was a desperate move from a position of weakness, but still deadly. Thousands of humans died in the first wave. Captain Eric Barnes led the Special Forces response. In the months since the mothership infiltration, his team had grown into an elite unit specialized in them tactics and technology. They moved swiftly to secure key communication hubs, cutting off coordination between alien forces. Olivia Green, now heading Earth Cyber Warfare Division, launched digital attacks against remaining them networks. "Their systems are adapting," she reported, "but we still have the advantage. They never expected us to understand their technology so quickly." As ground forces engaged them troops around the world, Dr. Cooper's team prepared the bioweapon for deployment. The delivery system was elegant in its simplicity. The weapon would be released into the upper atmosphere, where global air currents would carry it worldwide within days. Any of them not in a completely sealed environment would be exposed. The morning of deployment, Alice Carter visited the launch facility. She had become a symbol of human resistance, her quiet strength inspiring millions. The scientists and soldiers stood straighter as she walked among them. "My daughter believed in the power of knowledge," she told them. "She trusted that science would always be used to help, not harm. The thems perverted that trust. Today we use our knowledge to ensure no other child suffers her fate." John joined his wife, taking her hand in his. Together they watched as the delivery rockets were prepared for launch. "Do you think this is what Lily would have wanted?" Alice asked softly, so only he could hear. John was silent for a moment. "Lily wanted to build bridges between species, to learn and share knowledge. The thems destroyed that dream when they killed her. What we do today isn't about revenge. It's about making sure they never harm another child. Alice nodded, tears in her eyes, for all the daughters and sons. For all of humanity. At noon, the rockets launched. Rising high into the atmosphere, they released their payload. The colorless, odorless bioweapon began to spread on the winds, just as designed. The effect on the thems was immediate and devastating. In their compounds, on their ships, their bodies began to fail as the weapon attacked their cellular structure. Some tried to escape in emergency craft. Others sealed themselves in protected environments. But the weapon had been designed to penetrate all but the most advanced shielding, which few thems had access to. Elder Spoke made one final transmission before succumbing. "You have surpassed our evaluation. Your species has proven more dangerous than we assessed. Others will come. Others will know what you have done." President Dawson's reply was transmitted to all remaining them ships. Let them come. Let them learn what happens when you threaten humanity. We will be waiting." Within 48 hours it was over. The thems, who had come to Earth with plans to study, harvest, and eventually conquer humanity, were gone. Their ships drifted in orbit, silent and empty. Their compounds stood abandoned. Earth had won its first interstellar war. The price had been high. Millions dead, cities damaged, trust in the universe forever altered. Humanity would never again be the naive species that welcomed visitors with open arms and no defenses. 5 years later, a memorial was unveiled in Washington, D.C. At its center stood a statue of a young girl, her hand reaching toward the stars. Lily Carter's face, recreated from family photos, showed the curiosity and kindness that had defined her short life. Around the base of the statue were the names of all known victims of the thems. John and Alice Carter stood before it, older now but still standing tall. Behind them gathered thousands of people. Some had fought in the war. Others had lost loved ones. All had lived through humanity's darkest and finest hour. "This memorial does not celebrate the victory of war," Alice said to the crowd. "It celebrates the victory of human spirit, of our ability to face the unimaginable and survive, of our determination to protect our own." John stepped forward to stand beside his wife. "From this day forward, humanity looks to the stars with new eyes, wiser, more cautious, but still curious, still searching for knowledge and connection." As he spoke, far above Earth, the first ships of the New Earth Defense Fleet moved into position. Built using adapted them technology, they were faster and more powerful than anything humans could have created alone. They stood as guardians of the planet. As a warning to any who might follow the path of the thems, humanity had changed forever. The species that had nearly been prey had become the predator. And across the galaxy, word began to spread of the small blue planet where a child named Lily Carter had died, and an entire alien race had paid the price. The message was clear to any who might consider Earth as a target. Humanity protects its own. Approach with peaceful intentions or do not approach at all.